Good evening, dear listeners. It's me again, Alexian, your storyteller, wizard, and good friend. Welcome to my Library of Wonders, a place where the most amazing stories come to life. Here, among endless shelves of books, every tale is not just a story, but an entire world full of mysteries, adventures, and important lessons. Today, I will tell you a story about a little fox cub who set out to find friends. Together, we will journey to picturesque meadows where the wind plays with the grass, and the hills are like soft green blankets. Are you ready to embark on this adventure? Then let's take my magical compass, which will show us the way, and begin. On the boundless meadows, where flowers bloomed in bright colours and trees stood like guardians protecting the peace of nature, lived a little fox cub named Rudy. Rudy had a fluffy orange coat and clever but kind eyes. However, despite his wit, Rudy was very lonely. Every morning, he would wake up in his cosy burrow at the foot of a hill and watch other animals play. Bunnies hopping among the flowers, birds chirping merrily on the branches, and even hedgehogs rolling down the hills like little spiky balls. Why don't I have any friends? Rudy thought sadly. One day, he decided it was time to change things. I won't sit in my burrow alone anymore. I'll go out and find myself some friends, he said confidently to himself. Rudy first headed to a blooming meadow where bunnies were playing tag. He approached them and said, "Hi, can I play with you?" But the bunnies got scared. "Foxes hunt us," they thought, and quickly hid in the tall grass. Rudy sighed and walked on. On the branch of an old oak tree, he saw a bird chirping cheerfully. "Hi, birdie," Rudy called out. "Would you like to play with me?" The bird grew wary. "What if he wants to get to my nest?" she thought, and quickly flew away. Rudy felt his heart tighten with sadness. Maybe I'll never find friends, he thought. But then he heard a loud squeak. The sound came from behind a large rock at the foot of the hill. Rudy cautiously approached and saw a little hedgehog stuck between two rocks. "What happened?" Rudy asked. "I tried to squeeze through the rocks but got stuck." The hedgehog sniffled. "Don't worry, I'll help you," said Rudy. He carefully nudged the rocks with his paws and freed the hedgehog. "Thank you," the hedgehog said happily. "My name is Topa. What's your name?" "I'm Rudy," the fox cub replied. "You're very kind, Rudy. Would you like to be my friend?" "Of course," Rudy said joyfully. From then on, Rudy and Topa became good friends. They played together, rolled down hills, and picked berries. But one day, while walking through the meadow, Topa noticed something unusual. "Rudy, look," he said, pointing with his paw at tracks in the grass. The tracks were small and led to thick bushes. "Someone's been here recently," Rudy said thoughtfully. "Let's see who it is." They followed the tracks through the tall grass until they reached an old oak tree. There they heard a strange sound, something like rustling and a faint squeak. "Who's there?" Rudy called out loudly. From behind the tree roots, a little rabbit peeked out. His ears were trembling and his eyes were full of fear. "Please don't hurt me," he squeaked. "We won't hurt you." Rudy smiled. "Why are you hiding?" The rabbit stepped out of his hiding spot and said quietly, "My name is Flip. I got lost. I wanted to pick flowers for my mom, but I got lost and can't find my way home." "Don't worry, Flip," said Topa. "We'll help you get home." "Really?" the rabbit asked in surprise. He looked at Rudy with distrust. "He's a fox. What if he hurts me?" Flip thought. But seeing Rudy's kind smile and hearing his calm voice, he felt there was no danger. And besides, Rudy was standing side by side with a hedgehog, which was strange and unusual. Flip stopped being afraid. He really did need help. "Of course we'll help you," Rudy and Topa said in unison. The three of them set off. Flip explained that his home was on the other side of a big hill, in a meadow full of daisies. "But how will we find that place and get there?" Topa asked, looking at the tall hill. "I have an idea," Rudy said. "We can climb the hill and look from the top to see where the daisies are." They began the climb. The hill was steep and Flip lagged behind a bit, but Rudy and Topa helped him. When they reached the top, a breathtaking view opened up before them. Green meadows, blooming fields, and in the distance, a daisy meadow. "Is that your home?" Rudy asked, pointing to the meadow. "Yes," Flip exclaimed happily. They quickly descended the hill and headed toward the meadow. As they got closer, Flip's mum ran out of the bushes. "Flip!" she cried. "I was so worried!" "Mom!" the little rabbit shouted and ran to her. Flip told his mom how Rudy and Topa had helped him find his way home. At first, Flip's mom didn't even notice that a fox had brought her son home. But when she saw Rudy, she froze in surprise. "A fox?" she whispered. But seeing Rudy's kind smile and how Flip joyfully talked about his new friends, Flip's mom was overjoyed. "Thank you," she said. "You're true friends. Now come inside and I'll treat you to some tea." Rudy was surprised. Rabbits had never invited him into their homes before, but Flip's mom was so grateful that she couldn't help but invite Rudy even though he was a fox. From then on, the three friends became inseparable. They explored the meadows together, raced down hills, and shared their stories with each other. Rudy never felt lonely again because he realized that true friends appear when you're ready to help and be kind. That's the story, dear listeners. It reminds us that friendship begins with kind deeds and sincerity. Even if it seems at first that no one understands you, it's important not to give up and stay true to yourself. Now, as the magical compass points us home, I want to ask you, what do you think about Rudy, Topa, and Flip? What would you have done in their place? And what do you think is the most important thing in friendship? Until next time, dear friends, in our Library of Wonders. Together, we'll discover countless worlds and stories. Good evening, dear listeners. It's me again, Alexian, your storyteller, magician, and loyal friend. Welcome to my Library of Wonders, a place where the most amazing stories come to life. But today, we won't be diving into a fairy tale or a magical story. Today, I invite you to visit one of the most extraordinary places you can imagine. It's a magical zoo, home to enchanted creatures from various worlds. This place is filled with magic itself, and its inhabitants make it a unique corner of the magical realm. Are you ready to embark on this incredible journey? Then let's take my magical compass, which will guide us on our way. I absolutely love visiting this amazing zoo, and I'm delighted that you'll be joining me. When the compass needle stopped, a huge shimmering portal appeared before us, glowing with all the colors of the rainbow. We stepped inside, and suddenly we were standing before the majestic gates of the magical zoo. The gates were adorned with carved images of dragons, unicorns, and other magical creatures. The inscription on the arch read, "Welcome to the mysterious zoo." The zoo stretched across a vast territory, with each magical zone designed to resemble the native world of its inhabitants. Here, you'll find dense forests, sparkling lakes, mountain peaks, and even small patches of starry skies. The zoo's caretakers are various magical beings: fairies who tend to the flowers and plants, dwarves who look after the underground dwellers, centaurs who patrol the grounds, and even wise wizards who help maintain the magical balance. Well, friends, let's begin our walk. I'm sure we're in for some incredible encounters. We head to the first enclosure, which lies beneath an enchanted starry sky. The path leading to it is paved with smooth stones that glow with a soft blue light, as if reflecting moonlight. On either side of the trail grow tall, silvery trees with leaves that resemble stars. A gentle rustling fills the air, as if someone is whispering ancient tales. Occasionally, tiny, glowing butterflies flutter past us, leaving behind a faint trail that looks like stardust. Here we are. Before us is a spacious enclosure where the moon dragon named Lyra resides. Her silvery scales glow in the dark like moonlight, and her wings shimmer like stardust. Lyra hails from a world of eternal night, where the moon never sets. She is friendly, but a bit shy, and loves listening to the songs of fairies who visit her enclosure. Look at how gracefully she soars under the stars. Now that we've said goodbye to Lyra, let's move on. Our path leads us toward the glowing lights visible in the distance. We walk along a path that gradually grows darker. Tiny lights begin to flicker around us, fireflies that seem to accompany us. Along the road, bushes with flowers emitting a soft golden glow grow. The air is filled with the sweet scent of nectar, and somewhere in the distance, a faint chiming sound can be heard, as if someone is playing crystal bells. We approach a large dome where a soft twilight reigns. Inside lives a giant firefly named Glim. His transparent wings shimmer with all the colors of the rainbow, and the light he emits is so bright that it illuminates the entire dome. Glim comes from a world of eternal dusk, where he helps travelers find their way. He is friends with Lyra and often lights her path during her nightly flights. Look at how he slowly circles in the air, like a little sun. Now let's move on to the next inhabitant. I see golden glimmers ahead. That's our next friend. We continue our journey, and the path begins to ascend. Around us, rocky outcrops appear, covered with moss and flowers that grow directly from the stones. The wind carries the scent of freshness and sunlight. In the distance, a roar can be heard. Not frightening, but rather commanding respect. Claw marks are visible on the rocks, and a faint lavender aroma seems to emanate from the golden flowers growing along the path. We approach a spacious enclosure where a winged lion named Orus rests on a rocky ledge. His golden wings glisten in the sunlight, and his mane shimmers like sunbeams. Orus hails from a world of high mountains where he guards ancient temples. He is proud and noble, but gladly allows children to ride on his back. Right now, he is lazily stretching, enjoying the warmth. Let's leave Orus to rest and head to the next inhabitant. On our way down the mountain, we spot a small creature on one of the ledges, curiously watching us. This is Lex, a mountain critter that inhabits high-altitude regions and also lives in this part of the zoo. Lexes are amazing creatures. They walk on 2 hind legs, and their long pointed ears help them pick up the slightest sounds. They have long, thin tails with fluffy tips, which they use for balance when jumping from rock to rock. Lexes are incredibly agile and nimble. They can climb the steepest cliffs using their strong hind legs. Their fur is soft and warm, helping them survive in cold mountain conditions. Lexes feed on berries, nuts, and small insects they find among the rocks. But their favorite treat is sweet mountain fruits that grow on bushes at the foot of the cliffs. Standing before us is a young and very curious Lex named Gliss. He loves playing with visitors, especially if they bring him his favorite snack, tiny mountain apples. Look at how skillfully he jumps from rock to rock, his tail helping him maintain balance. Lexes are also known for their friendliness. They often gather in small groups to keep each other warm on cold nights. They also love hosting singing evenings, producing melodic sounds that resemble soft singing. It's said that these sounds can calm even the most restless traveler. Gliss, noticing us, happily waves his fluffy tail and even takes a few steps toward us, as if inviting us to play. But it's time for us to move on. The path leads us to a large lake surrounded by dense reeds. The water here is crystal clear, and its surface is dotted with huge leaves that look like green islands. The sound of splashing water and a soft rumbling can be heard, as if someone large and content is enjoying a bath. On the lake's shore, we see an unusual creature, a hippophant named Trombo. His body resembles that of a hippopotamus, but he has a long trunk, like an elephant, and large ears that he uses to fan himself in the heat. Trombo comes from a world where rivers and lakes intertwine with dense jungles. He loves swimming and playing with water, and his trunk allows him to create real water fountains. Look at how he joyfully splashes, creating waves. Trombo is friendly and loves when visitors bring him juicy fruits. His favorite treat is giant watermelons, which he skillfully cracks open with his trunk. Now that we've said goodbye to Trombo, our path leads to the winter section of the zoo, where an amazing inhabitant awaits us. We walk along a path that gradually grows colder. Snowdrifts begin to appear around us, and the trees are covered in frost. The air becomes fresh and crisp, and the snow crunches underfoot. Along the road, we see ice sculptures that seem to be carved from snow itself. They depict various magical creatures, and their eyes seem to follow us. In the distance, an icy pavilion sparkles like a giant crystal. Here lives the snow phoenix named Frost. His feathers glisten like ice, and his wings leave behind a flurry of snow. Frost comes from a world of eternal winter. where his kin live in icy caves. He loves frosty berries brought to him by dwarves. Look at how he flaps his wings, creating intricate snow patterns in the air. Now let's head to the misty forest, where a mysterious panther awaits us. We enter a dense forest filled with an enigmatic mist. The trees here are tall, with branches that seem to vanish into the haze. Around us, rustling sounds can be heard, but they don't frighten us. Instead, they add to the mystery. The mist softly blankets the ground, enveloping everything around. Occasionally, glowing eyes of small creatures appear from the fog, only to disappear as soon as we try to approach them. Here lives the mist panther, named Shade. Her fur shimmers like thick mist, and her movements are so fluid that she seems to be part of the fog. Shade comes from a world where everything is hidden in mist. She loves playing hide and seek with visitors. Look at how she vanishes into the mist and then suddenly reappears. But it's time for us to move on, as another amazing creature awaits us ahead. We continue along the path, which leads us to an open meadow. The grass here glows with a soft silvery light, and the sky above us sparkles with stars, even though the sun hasn't yet set. Around us, tiny glowing moths flutter, leaving behind a shimmering trail. In the distance, the faint sound of bells can be heard, as if the wind is playing with them. On this meadow lives the star unicorn named Nova. Her coat sparkles like the night sky, and her mane resembles the Milky Way. Nova loves running across her enclosure, leaving a glowing trail behind her. Look at how gracefully she gallops, as if dancing under the stars. Her hooves touch the ground so lightly that it seems as though she's floating. Now let's head to the final inhabitant, a small but very bright creature. We make our way to the last enclosure, and the path grows warmer. Around us, lava stones appear, emitting a faint smoke. The air carries the scent of sulfur mixed with the aroma of heated minerals. Along the road, fiery flowers grow, their petals ablaze but not burning. We approach the enclosure, where a fire salamander named Inferno peeks out from the lava flows. His skin blazes like fire, and his movements are quick and playful. Inferno comes from a world of volcanoes, where he lives in lava streams. He loves putting on fiery shows for visitors. Look at how he creates small fire rings that disappear just as quickly. His enclosure is illuminated by a soft red glow, and around it stand stone statues that seem to guard his peace. After meeting these incredible creatures, we return to the zoo's gates. The magical compass begins to glow again, pointing us the way home. We thank the caretakers for their hospitality and step into the portal, which takes us back to the Library of Wonders. Dear listeners, today we visited an amazing place where magic and nature come together as one. The magical zoo reminded us of how important it is to cherish and respect all living things, whether in our world or the world of fantasy. Which of the magical creatures did you like or remember the most? Until next time in our Library of Wonders, where many more incredible stories and adventures await us. Good evening, dear listeners. Once again, it's me, Alexian, your storyteller, wizard, and faithful friend. Welcome to my Library of Wonders, a place where the most amazing stories come to life. Here, among endless shelves of books, Every tale is not just a story, but an entire world full of mysteries, adventures, and important lessons. Today, I will tell you the story of a little turtle who embarked on a grand journey across the boundless ocean. Together, we will dive into the depths of the seas, where mysterious creatures, shimmering corals, and unexpected discoveries await. Are you ready for this adventure? Then let's take my magical compass, which will guide us, and begin. In the heart of a warm tropical sea, among the coral reefs, lived a little turtle named Lumi. Lumi had a green shell with golden patterns that shimmered in the sunlight like precious jewels. She was curious and dreamy, but had never left the cozy lagoon where her family lived. Every day, Lumi listened to the stories of an old turtle named Mara, who spoke of distant places, underwater caves where crystals glowed, giant whales that sang songs, and a mysterious place called the heart of the ocean. This place, according to legend, was the source of all marine life, but no turtle had ever seen it. "One day, I will find the heart of the ocean," Lumi said confidently. "That's a dangerous journey, little one," Mara replied. "But if that is your decision, remember, the most important thing is to follow the currents and listen to your heart." The next morning, as the sun began to light up the sea's surface, Lumi said goodbye to her family and set off on her journey. A great adventure awaited her. Lumi decided to begin her journey by exploring the nearby coral reefs. She had heard that wise sea creatures who knew the ocean's secrets could be found there. Slowly swimming along the sandy seabed, she admired the colourful corals reaching for the light like underwater trees. Bright fish darted around her, and in the distance she saw the shadows of large rays gracefully gliding through the water. Lumi felt her heart fill with joy and anticipation. She knew that somewhere ahead, answers to all her questions awaited. As Lumi swam along the coral reefs, enjoying the sights of colourful fish and sea stars, she suddenly heard cheerful laughter. It was dolphins. They swirled around her, playing and leaping out of the water. "Hello, little turtle," said one of the dolphins, named Spark. "Where are you headed?" "I'm looking for the heart of the ocean," Lumi replied. "That's far away, but we can show you the way to the great reef. There, a strong current begins that will take you closer to your goal." The dolphins escorted Lumi to the edge of the reef, where the water grew deeper and darker. They said their goodbyes, wished her luck, and disappeared into the waves. Following the current, Lumi found herself at the entrance to an underwater cave. Inside, everything glowed with a soft blue light. These were glowing jellyfish, floating around like tiny lanterns. "Who are you, traveler?" a deep voice echoed. From the shadows emerged an old octopus with long tentacles. "I'm Lumi, and I'm looking for the heart of the ocean," the little turtle replied. "To find it, you must pass through the field of boiling waters," said the octopus. "It's a place where hot geysers burst from the seabed. They can be dangerous, but if you're careful, you can make it through." The octopus gave Lumi a small pearl stone. "This stone will help you find your way if you get lost. Just hold it in your flipper and it will show you the light." Lumi continued her journey until the current brought her to a strange place. The water around her began to bubble and streams of hot water erupted from the seabed. This was the field of boiling waters. Lumi froze, watching as geysers shot upward, creating dangerous whirlpools. "I need to be careful," she whispered to herself. The little turtle began to swim forward slowly, carefully watching the bubbles that warned of new geysers. At one point, a geyser erupted right in front of her, and Lumi barely managed to retreat. She remembered the pearl stone and held it tightly in her flipper. The stone began to glow, showing her a safe path through the boiling waters. Following the light, Lumi managed to avoid all the geysers and finally emerged from the dangerous field. She felt relief and pride in her bravery. After a long journey, Lumi found herself in a calm lagoon. In the center of the lagoon, she saw a huge shimmering whirlpool. The water in it sparkled with all the colors of the rainbow, and thousands of sea creatures swam around it. This was the heart of the ocean. Lumi cautiously swam closer. She felt warmth and energy filling her. Suddenly, she heard a voice like the whisper of waves. "You have found me, Lumi. You have traveled far, and as a reward, I will tell you something you do not know. The power of the ocean is the power of harmony. Every current, every wave, every creature in the ocean is connected to one another. We are all part of one great whole. Remember, only together are we strong. Return home and tell everyone what you have learned." Lumi returned to her lagoon, where her family and friends greeted her. She told them about her journey, about the dolphins, the octopus, and of course the field of boiling waters and the heart of the ocean. Now she knew that the power of the ocean was not just in the strength of its currents or the depth of its waters, but in the harmony that united all its inhabitants. Dear listeners, this story reminds us that each of us is part of something greater. Harmony and unity make us stronger, and mutual help and understanding help us overcome any challenges. And now, as our magical compass points us back home, I want to ask you, what would you have done in Lumi's place? And how do you understand harmony in your life? Until next time, friends, in our Library of Wonders, together we will discover many more amazing worlds and stories. Good evening, dear listeners. It's me again, Alexian, your storyteller, wizard, and loyal friend. Welcome to my Library of Wonders, a place where the most amazing stories come to life. Today, I will tell you about a boy named Evan, who had an extraordinary gift. This gift allowed him to live through every story he read as if it were happening to him in real life. But let's start from the beginning. Let's take my magical compass, which will guide us to this story, and begin. Evan was an ordinary boy, but his life was far from easy. His mother worked a lot to provide for the two of them, and Evan didn't have a father. He often stayed home alone, and his only friends were books. Evan loved reading more than anything in the world. But he had a special gift. When he read, it was as if he were transported into the world of the book. He could feel the wind ruffling the characters' hair, hear their voices as if they were real, and deeply experience their joy or pain. Every story became a part of him. One day, on his way home from school, Evan stumbled upon an old bookstore he had never noticed before. The shelves were lined with books, and the air was filled with the scent of old paper. In the far corner, he saw a book with a golden cover and the title, Secrets That Will Change Your Life. "This book is for you," a voice suddenly said. Evan turned around and saw an old shopkeeper with kind eyes. "But remember, it will only reveal its secrets to someone who is ready to understand them." Evan took the book and ran home, not knowing what lay ahead. When Evan opened the book, the pages were blank. He was puzzled, but suddenly words began to appear on the first page. "To uncover my secrets, you must live them. Are you ready?" Evan nodded, and in that instant, his room disappeared. He found himself in a vast library with endless shelves. Books floated around him, and a soft light filled the air. In the center of the hall stood a table with a quill and an inkwell. "Welcome, Evan," a voice said. It sounded very much like the voice of the shopkeeper from the store, but Evan couldn't see anyone. The voice seemed to come from nowhere, as if it were speaking from deep within his soul. "I am the keeper of this book. Here you will learn how your gift can change not only you, but the world around you." Evan asked nervously, "But how will I know what to do?" The voice replied, "You must choose the books that call to your heart and resonate with your soul. In each of them, you will find a world where your knowledge and abilities can help. You will live through these stories, and your gift will guide you on what to do. But remember, the most important thing is to listen to your heart and trust your feelings." Evan nodded, and the quill on the table rose into the air and floated toward him. "This quill will help you choose the books," the keeper's voice said. "Simply touch the one that calls to you." Evan approached a shelf filled with books of various titles. His eyes fell on one titled, "The Village Where No One Understood Each Other." He felt that this was the perfect place to start. When Evan touched the book with the quill, he found himself in a small village. The people there looked sad and angry. They were shouting at each other, and no one was listening. Evan approached one of the villagers and asked, "Why is everyone arguing?" "We don't understand each other," the man replied. "Everyone talks about their own problems, and no one wants to listen." Evan remembered all the books he had read about people, their feelings, and their struggles. He knew that sometimes anger hides fear, and loneliness hides behind sadness. He began talking to the villagers, asking them questions. Gradually, people started to open up. One man admitted he was afraid of losing his family, and a woman shared that she felt unsupported. Evan suggested that everyone gather in the village square, where he told them a story he had read before. It was a story about the importance of listening to each other and sharing feelings. The villagers began to realize they had more in common than they thought. By the end of the day, the village was filled with laughter and friendship. Evan felt that his gift had helped these people. When the story ended, he found himself back in the library. "You've taken the first step," the keeper's warm voice said as Evan looked around, trying to process his adventure. "You used your knowledge and your heart to help others." Evan smiled and asked, "What's next?" "Next you will choose new books," the keeper replied. "Each one will teach you something new. But remember, the greatest secret of the book is you." Evan continued choosing books and helping their characters. He lived through incredible adventures. Some stories were thrilling, like treasure hunts or mysterious journeys where Evan had to solve intricate puzzles. Others were calm and seemingly ordinary, but Evan knew that such stories also held special secrets. These were the secrets of human connection and understanding. Evan loved all the stories he entered because each one taught him something new. But one day, when he returned to the library after another adventure, the quill that always helped him choose books suddenly flew into the air and darted out of the hall. Evan was surprised, but quickly followed it. The quill led him through narrow corridors of the library, past towering shelves filled with books, until it stopped in front of a massive wooden door with intricate carvings. The door had no handle, only a round medallion engraved with the words, "To open the door, answer this. What unites hearts, breaks down barriers, and makes the world brighter." Evan thought for a moment. He remembered all the stories he had lived through and realized the answer had been in front of him all along. He said, "Love." The medallion glowed, and the door slowly creaked open, as if it hadn't been opened in centuries. Behind the door was a small room with a single book on a pedestal. Its cover bore the golden title, "The Final Secret." Evan cautiously approached and opened the book. On the first page, it read, "You are ready to learn the final secret. But to uncover it, you must look into your heart." Evan thought deeply. He remembered how often he had felt unimportant, how much he missed his mother's attention. But he also realized that his mother worked hard for him, and that her love was always with him, even if she couldn't always be there. And then Evan suddenly felt afraid. He had spent so much time in the library, and his mother didn't even know where he was. At that moment, the keeper's voice spoke again. "True magic is love and understanding. You have already found it within yourself." The book began to glow, and Evan felt his heart fill with warmth. In the next instant, Evan was back home. He was relieved to realize that not even a moment had passed since he had entered the magical library. And yet, Evan felt that he had changed. Now he knew how to use his gift to help others. He began sharing stories with everyone around him, his mother, his classmates, and his neighbors. His mother, seeing the sparkle in his eyes, started spending more time with him. They began reading together, discussing books and sharing dreams. Evan made many new friends and never felt lonely again. And what about the magical book? It disappeared as suddenly as it had appeared. But Evan knew that its secrets would stay with him forever. Well, dear friends, it's time to set our magical compass and return to the Library of Wonders. I hope you enjoyed this tale. Now, dear listeners, as we are surrounded by the warm bookshelves of our wonderful library, I want to ask you, why do you think the book chose Evan? Do you think you have a gift like our remarkable hero? And if not, can you learn to have one? But before we say goodbye, I want to ask you, if this story warmed your heart, share it with your friends and loved ones. Next time, we'll hear a new story about a superhero pug we've already met before. I'll be eagerly waiting for you in our Library of Wonders, where the most amazing stories come to life. Good evening, dear listeners. It's me again, your friend Alexian. Today, I invite you to join me on another visit to our beloved superhero pug, Bagel. Let's take my magical compass, which will guide us to this amazing story, and set off on a new magical adventure together. In the cozy town of Fluffville, life was peaceful and joyful. The residents enjoyed sunny days, strolled through parks, and sang songs in the town square. But one day, something strange happened. The entire town suddenly lost its light. Lamps stopped glowing, streetlights went dark, and homes were plunged into darkness. Even the sunlight seemed dimmer. The residents were worried. How could they live without light? Bagel, as always, was at the heart of the action. He was walking along Poor Street when he overheard the concerned townsfolk discussing the situation. What should we do? How can we bring the light back to our town? They asked one another. Bagel thought hard. He knew this wasn't just a simple malfunction. It was something far more mysterious. Just then, his friend, a kitten named Snowball, ran up to him. "Bagel, I heard that in the old forest beyond the town lives the firefly spirit. They say he can bring back the light, but no one knows how to find him," Snowball said excitedly. Bagel realized this was a mission for him. He jumped 3 times, did a somersault, and activated his powers. His ears twitched like antennas, and he heard the whisper of the wind. The firefly spirit lives deep in the forest, where the trees form arches and the air smells of honey, the wind murmured. Bagel thanked it and set off on his journey. The forest was dark and mysterious. Bagel used his ability to fly to navigate through thick bushes and deep ravines. Suddenly, he noticed tiny glowing lights around him. They were fireflies, and they seemed to be guiding him. Bagel followed them and soon found himself in front of a massive tree whose branches glowed with a soft golden light. "Who has come to see me?" A deep but kind voice echoed. It was the firefly spirit, a magnificent glowing being made of thousands of tiny lights. Bagel stepped forward bravely and explained the trouble that had befallen Fluffville. "I can help your town, but first you must understand why the light disappeared," the spirit said. He waved his hand, and a vision appeared before Bagel. In the center of the town, deep underground, there was an ancient glowing crystal that powered all of Fluffville's light. But the crystal was surrounded by a dark mist that was slowly consuming its glow. "This is the shadow of forgetfulness," the firefly spirit explained. "It appears when the residents of the town forget about joy, kindness, and friendship. The shadow feeds on sadness, grievances, and quarrels, and the more it grows, the weaker the light becomes. In recent days, there has been too much discontent and arguing in Fluffville, and the shadow managed to reach the crystal." Bagel thought for a moment. He realized that the only way to bring back the light was to remind the townsfolk of joy and the importance of being kind to one another. But then the firefly spirit added, "I can help Fluffville, but I need your help, Bagel. Only you can give me the spark of joy that will unlock the light. Without your genuine joy, I cannot succeed." "I'm ready to try," Bagel said determinedly. "Then show me the spark of joy," the spirit said. Bagel jumped 3 times, did a somersault, and began spinning in the air, performing incredible moves. He leaped, flipped, and even did a triple somersault. The firefly spirit laughed, and his laughter sounded like the ringing of tiny bells. And then, from his heart, a bright spark burst forth and soared into the sky. But that was just the beginning. The spark, like a tiny sun, rose high above Fluffville and began to circle over the town. It flew over every house, every street, and peeked into every corner. Wherever it passed, the residents suddenly remembered how important it was to be kind to one another. They smiled, hugged, apologized for their quarrels, and started helping each other. The spark reminded them of joy, kindness, and friendship, and with every house it visited, its light grew brighter. When the spark completed its journey, it returned to the firefly spirit, who gathered its glow in his hands and directed it toward the ancient crystal underground. The crystal shone brighter than ever before, and the light returned to Fluffville. Lamps lit up again, street lights glowed, and the sun shone brighter than ever. When Bagel returned to the town, he was greeted as a true hero. The residents threw a celebration with pies, lemonade, and dancing. And Bagel, as always, was happy to see the smiles on his friends' faces. And so our superhero pug saved Fluffville once again. And this is just one of his many amazing adventures. It's time to activate the magical compass and return to the Library of Wonders. But don't worry, dear listeners. We'll meet Bagel again soon. Until next time, and may the light of joy always shine in your hearts.